Good morning, or depending when you're listening to this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told I had a voice for radio, so today I'm showing you another game that I recorded live at a local league challenge. This one comes from Athena Games in Norwich, a truly lovely venue. Those in the UK should check it out immediately, if not sooner. And it happened in October of 2015 in the standard format, which means we are using any cards from the X and Y set all the way through to and including Ancient Origins. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so we are in round 4 out of 5. On the left, we've got Dan Norman with Manectric Regice, and on the right, we've got Will Groom with his Vespiquen list. I believe it's Vespiquen Night March, if I remember correctly. So we're in round 4, we've got a couple of good people. I believe they're both 3-0 going into this. We've already seen Manectric, well, kind of. We saw Manectric bats with Luke in round 1, but now we're seeing Manectric Regice with Dan Norman. And actually, we saw Manectric bats with Tom Goodson in round 3. So hopefully we'll get a slightly more competitive game in this round. The last 2 rounds have not been the most competitive. And if you're looking for the final of this tournament, I'm actually going to stick the final on the end because, spoiler alert, I want to show you the final. I want to show you every round. The final is not terribly competitive, but we'll see that when we get there. I'm not putting it in its own video. We've still got another couple of tournaments to get to after this. So, Will's put his prizes out a little bit funny. Is he going to be going first? Oh, not a great start for either of them. Dan started with a Shaman, and Will has started with an Unknown. And remember that Unknown's ability to discard and draw a card only works if Unknown is on the bench. But Will manages to hit a Battle Compressor straight away, and you can see he's playing the Night March variant because straight away 2 Lampants are going in the discard pile. There's all 3 Lampants in a discard pile. Remember that in this Night March deck, Lampant is purely in there just as Night March fodder. You don't play Litwick, you're never actually going to attack with him. He's just in there because the Night March attackers do 20 damage times the amount of Night Marches in the discard pile, so you want to get them there as soon as possible. So an Acrobite comes down, a Dimension Valley. That's not something he wants to put in the discard. But needs must, and an Ultra Ball gets rid of an Energy and a Lysandra. Killing a Lysandra this early, not a terrible thing. Remember, most decks nowadays, you're playing 4 VS Seeker, so it's really not the end of the world if you end up having a ditch a supporter, and actually, most people are playing 2 Lysandras, 4 VS Seeker, so you've got more chance of hitting a VS Seeker with a Lysandra in the discard pile than you do hitting a Lysandra without. So it actually helps. And he goes straight away for a Combee. And as we saw with 40 HP Pokemon in the last game, Manectric can have his way. Now, I'm not a fan of attaching a double colourless energy if you're not going to attack. The reason is very simply, we don't know if Dan's playing Enhanced Hammer or Xerosic, but if he is, he can royally screw over Will now. You've only got 4 DCEs, there's no trump card or anything now. Or when he hits a switch off a Trainer's Mail, so we can get the Manectric in the active and attacking straight away. That's really, really useful. Now, of course, even if he doesn't play a Xerosic or something like that, Dan could potentially, if he's got an energy in a muscle band, he could play a Lysandra, bring the Combee into the active, it's only got 40 HP, and kill it straight away. And an Ultra Ball comes down there. Presumably that's going to be for a Shaman to draw some cards. He's got another Ultra Ball there, so he can completely empty his hand if he wishes, and it does look like he is going for the expected Shaman here. The problem Will's got is that he's playing 4 DCE and only 4 DCE, which means you need to treat those DCE like they are your children. They are a precious resource. And the format we've got going at the moment, a lot of people are playing Xerosic, quite a few people are playing Enhanced Hammer, and it's just way too easy to lose that DCE. You really need to be putting it down. Remember that Vespiquen and the Night Marchers all need a DCE. What would have been really good, and he might not have been... He's going for the Shaman before the Ultra Ball. I didn't see what other card was in his hand. Maybe he didn't quite have enough. But he's got a Birch as well, so he is going to be able to play a supporter. He's really looking for an energy and a muscle band here, because then he could do 40 to the Unknown, and potentially next turn bring the Combi active with a Lysandre, and then kill it straight away. As in, get the double KO there. 4 energy. I don't know why he was showing him the 4 energy there. I might have just shown, hey, this is what I got off the trainer's mail. Might have just been like, hey, this is what I got. So an Ultra Ball comes down, killing a Birch. Now, I believe he's got a VS Seeker in hand. So getting rid of the Birch again, he's just going to VS Seeker it back up. It's not the end of the world. But as I was saying with Will, all his attackers here, his Vespiquens, his Night Marchers need the DCE. He did get rid of a Psychic. I would like to have seen him attach the Psychic, but of course, maybe he couldn't. Maybe he had to ditch the cards he ditched. He looks like he's got a 1-card hand. I can't see what it is. It might be a supporter or something like that. So it is understandable. Oh no, and he had an AZ in the discard pile. So he uses VS Seeker for AZ, picks up the Shaman, pops it down again. And there we see the energy and the muscle band. So a pretty good start from Dan here. He's got the energy. He plays a trainer's mail. I thought I saw a muscle. Oh, he's definitely got a muscle band now. No, he has. He's definitely got one in hand. So he grabs the VS Seeker. Now, by using a muscle band here, he could put both of Will's Pokemon down to 20 HP. The advantage that would have is, if Will is unable to get the Unknown out of the active, that would set Dan up for a double prize next turn. Assuming Will doesn't evolve. Oh, when he chooses... See, again, I'm not a fan of not putting the muscle band down there either. Now, I know the likelihood is that Will is going to get the Unknown out of the active, blah, blah, blah. I know that is a possibility. But if he doesn't get it out the active, then Dan would be able to... Oh, when he burns a DCE to retreat the Unknown... That's a fairly desperate act, but it looks like that's his entire hand. So, a real desperation play from Will there. I don't necessarily think this is bad play so much as necessity. Because, the alternative was just, leaving the Unknown in the active for Dan to kill it. I do still think Dan should have put the, and we see, I think, 80 damage going down there. And see, now the muscle band goes down, and it's not actually had any effect. But even so, say the Unknown was still in the active, Dan would be able to pull off a Lysandre play and kill it with residual damage. Whereas by not putting the muscle band down, he gave up on any KO other than KOing it in the active. Because of course, if you put it to the bench and do an extra 20 damage, well, it's on the bench. Will can just, use Farewell Letter or whatever it's called. So Sycamore, he plays a Sycamore, benches the Regice. I'm not a fan of benching the Regice here. He knows that Will is playing a completely non-EX deck. I suppose, to be fair, the Regice can be a pretty good attacker. I would wait a turn to put it down if I was him. What he doesn't want to do is let Will Lysandre into the active, because the Shaman's got a retreat cost of 1 and can attack. The Regice doesn't. The Mega Manectric's got a free retreat cost, so now Will does have a Lysandre target. And it's over. Sorry, here I am talking about optimal plays. The game's already over. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, like I say, we are at a tournament. All I can do is show you the games we recorded. It's as simple as that. I do apologise, but we will be back. Well, actually, literally hang around for a couple of seconds, I'm going to be back with a final. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so as a little bonus here, I present to you the final of the Norwich League Challenge. Remember, it is the standard format. On the left, we've got Luke Kirkham playing Manectric Bats. We saw him way back in round 1. Obviously, check out all the previous videos if you haven't already done so. And on the right, we have me with my ridiculously awesome playmat drawn by the Diamond Minecart Dan Middleton himself, just to prove that I know him in a shameless fashion, and my Chargers hat, although the less said about the Chargers this season, the better. I am going to be playing Mienshao, and we start this tournament, this round. It's round 5, and myself and Luke, we are the only 4-0s in the tournament, so we've both managed to get to this stage without losing a game. We've both gotten to 4-0, hence why we are on stream. And although it might not seem so for the videos we've had so far, there have been some fairly epic games. In round 2, I played Luke's brother Corey in his Rayquaza deck. And Rayquaza against Mienshao when both players set up, and we did. Oh my goodness, is it a fairly epic game. It's wonderful. So many knockouts, so many focus ashes, etc, etc. Corey taking 3 prizes, all from Zerosic. Anyway, so we're here, we're in the final. It is single game. And, you know, to go back to a lot of what I've said, you know, so far today, I like recording games at tournaments. Oh, and we got a broken sleeve. I'm hoping that wasn't me that broke it. If you're watching this, Luke, I didn't break your damn sleeve. You broke your own damn sleeve. But when it comes to a lot of these tournaments, you know, I record games at the tournaments. And the reason I like recording the games at tournaments is because people are playing their favourite decks, the ones they've tested. I can record a lot more games on PTCGO, but it's people testing and people playing silly lists and people having a go and people playing while they've got the telly on in the background and not paying too much attention. A lot of the games, and I've done PTCGO games in the past, and I probably will again in the future. You can see I shuffle way too much. It's a little bit of an obsession. I bemoan my draws too often. So, you know, yeah, we haven't had the best games for this tournament, but that's what happens. We can only record 1 game per round, and at the end of the day, I do my very best to bring you guys the best games we can, and the reality is, sometimes they're great, sometimes they're not, but I've recorded them, I'll stick them up, and you know, I try to make sure that in all the videos, even if they aren't the most competitive games, I can tell you about the decks and give you a little bit of extra information and just kind of, you know, make the videos worth watching, you know, even if the games aren't the most competitive. And if you got, as always, any suggestions to improve, chuck them down there in the comments and, you know, we will get to them, quite frankly. I still think this is the best way to do it. I'm a big fan of, you know, making sure that I, you know, record real games at real tournaments and bring it to you with commentary. It means the quality will be varying, but it means we're seeing, you know, proper decks from good players played at a hopefully high standard. So we've seen that Luke is starting with a Zubat and I'm starting with a Hawlucha. And I've just shown my hand to Matt, which probably means I've not got a very good hand. And this is one of the downsides of the Mienshao deck. It shouldn't surprise you that I lost the flip and Luke gets to go first. This weekend, I'll be putting some videos up from Sheffield. In 9 rounds, I only went first once over the weekend. And in fact, at the regionals this past week, out of 7 rounds, I only went first once. So I'm in a kind of a 2 out of 16 run at the moment. So I play a level ball. It's going to have to be from Mienshao. I could, I suppose, get another Hawlucha, but what's the point? I don't play Shaman in this, and I know. Oh, and Luke's hand is just as bad as mine, apparently. So, I mean, bearing in mind, me and Luke, we both know we've made top 4. We're getting championship points. So, you know, we know it's going to be okay here. One of the cool things about this tournament, you pay £3 to enter, everyone gets a booster. The top 4 get promos, but that's it. It's just booster for everyone, and then you get to play for the evening. So I've got the energy on the Mienshao, and I put a Focus Sash on Hawlucha, which probably isn't going to do much. And I put a Focus Sash on Mienshao, which probably isn't going to do much, but I've got to kind of, you know, try and get something going here. Faded Town comes down from Luke, and he's got a Shauna, so Luke has at least got a better start than me. And this is one of the things I dislike about this Mienshao deck. I'm a huge fan of Mienshao, just so we're clear. And you can see from my watts there, we're rocking like 10 o'clock at night at this stage. I've done a full day's work. One of the things about Mienshao is the kind of list you're playing, you can't play Shaman because of the inherent, and that does not look like a great hand from Luke. But, well, he can attack with Zubat to do 30, and of course he's turning off my Focus Sash. No, he's choosing instead to do 10 to the benched Mienshao, because Mienshao is weak to Zubat, and Zubat would be able to do 60 and get a one-hit KO, except for the Sash, so now the Sash goes away. And I don't know if I haven't done anything yet this turn. Is there anything I can do? I can't see my hand from here. I don't know if I'm going to play a single card here. I haven't actually done anything yet. I'm trying to do some calculations here. I've got a strong energy, and I'm thinking where to put it, and it doesn't really matter because, yeah, I've just not put it anywhere because what's it going to do? Lysandre brings out the Mind Fu. Mind Fu will be one-hit KO. Zubat does 10 damage, plus the 20 for Muscle Band is 30, times 2 for the weakness is 60 to KO the Mind Fu, which is far from ideal. Strong energy comes down just so it's on there, but I've got absolutely nothing here. And Luke's got... Now he's going to need to... If he's got a Crobat, he's got the win. But he doesn't have the Crobat, so he's just leaving it up there for the time being. He knows I'm not going to get the win this turn, unfortunately. Even if I can get a Mind Fu with a strong energy and a Muscle Band, which is possible, that will do 50 damage. And you can see my hand there, there's nothing. There's literally nothing. In all 4 of my... Yeah, and there we go. Luke's got game. In all 4 of my previous games, my deck drew okay and I did all right. But, you know, I had nothing, and I was going to get a VS Seeker the following turn and Shauna a turn after that. A very disappointing final, but this is what happens in tournaments sometimes. You get a very disappointing final. Now, me and Luke are going to play a friendly in a second, but I'm not going to put that on the video because it's no better. My deck essentially went, look, mate, I got you the top 4, and, you know... You did all right, and I got you some points, and I got you a nice promo card. But at the end of the day, you know, that's it, man. You've had your luck, and, you know, we're done. So, disappointing. And we didn't record the best games here, but we showed you some interesting decks, and... You know, I hope I gave you some commentary which expanded on it. One of the downsides of Mienshao, you can't play Shaman, it defeats the point of the deck. If you don't draw into your supporters nice and early, games like that happen. It's the reason I'm not taking Mienshao to regionals. Hey ho, ladies and gentlemen, these things happen, and there's nothing we can do about it. So, you know, hey ho. I hope you enjoyed the videos from this tournament. I've got some from Sheffield, which I assure you were slightly more competitive than some of these. Which will be going up in the near future, and I will also be showing you a whole bunch of videos from the first UK regional. There's a whole bunch of videos to come, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned. It's going to be wonderful. As always, like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned because more videos are coming very shortly. Thank you very much for watching. Look after yourselves till next time. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.